Well, well, well. We are now a full week into the new year, 2025. And what a 7 days it has been. So here's where we start today. Mark Zuckerberg, king of META, has decided that we no longer need to check facts. I mean, what is truth in America these days? Apparently, that is considered politically biased if you are interested in offering up truth claims on meta platforms. And the question that I kept asking myself today is, why the sudden change, Mark Zuckerberg? Why the sudden change? We are going to get into this and so much more today, damnation, on the Danielle Moodie Show. Buckle up. Let's get into it. Y'all, what a week it has been in America. And I know that today is Tuesday. And just so you know, for those that are in the chat, it is Town Hall Tuesday. So, as you all know, at the end of the Danielle Moodie Show on Tuesdays, I open it up for our Town Hall where you get to ask me anything. And I do my best to try and answer those questions. And by anything, I mean anything relatively on topic that I can try and sort through. So hold your questions until the end and I will get to them. So let's jump into it, folks. You saw the headlines today, and dear God, Mark Zuckerberg. Meta will end fact-checking program, says it's too politically based. The social media mogul said Tuesday that Facebook and Instagram will shift to a community notes model and work with President Trump to push back on governments on going after US companies. Y'all, can somebody explain to me whose government was going after US companies? Other than Donald Trump over the last year vocally threatening companies that would oppose him, that if he were to win office, that he would then seek retribution on said companies. And now, every single day, we are watching the series of dominoes fall where now McDonald's has announced that they are ending their DEI programs, right? You have Zuckerberg now ending his fact-checking program. You have Bezos and others giving millions of dollars to Donald Trump. I mean, like, could it be any clearer that we have entered the United States of broligarchy? That this is more than a quid pro quo. You do me a favor and I do you a favor. It is, I want my billions to continue to grow because I'm insatiable with my greed and my appetite for power and money. And so I will tap dance, I will kiss the ring, I will bend the knee, and I will do anything and everything in order to curry favor with America's new MAGA king. But here's the thing about what is happening with Meta, because folks, it isn't just Facebook, it isn't just Instagram, it is Threads and it is WhatsApp, right? Like, Mark Zuckerberg has created an entire web around American communication. And what he has signaled today, following along with the pathway that Elon Musk has led, is that whatever Trump wants, Trump gets. While you have countries like Finland that are actually teaching children how to recognize misinformation and disinformation. What Mark Zuckerberg announced today is that, oh, to call out truth and lies is to be politically biased. So I guess, particularly if one political party is actually spewing all of the lies, and then you have another one that is trying to reinforce facts and truth while you're being sprayed with a fire hose of fuckery. So here's the thing about Mark Zuckerberg. Aside from debuting new hair and a new look that I want to say, sir, go back to the drawing board. You have enough money for a stylist, maybe get one. But aside from that, here's what Zuckerberg said in his video that he released today. Quote, if we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship, the recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. You see, folks, the thing about this and this idea that we are going to restore free expression on our platforms is giving carte blanche to misogynists, to racists, to transphobes, to homophobes, to anyone who believes that freedom of expression is about their freedom and their ability to threaten, harass, harm, right? Bully all sorts of people that you do not like. And you see, what's happening here is that people are jumping from these platforms that have been integral to our ability to form community and also form protest. You see, Mark Zuckerberg is following in the footsteps of Elon Musk. Elon Musk bought Twitter as a way to literally set fire to the global town hall because Twitter is what was being used by Black people, Black Twitter, and other marginalized groups to be able to organize and spread messages of injustice that mainstream corporate media wasn't covering. I can go back to Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman murdering that teenage boy, and recognizing that that was the catalyst that we know of the formation of the Black Lives Matter movement that started online. You people were following the hashtag, what is happening? What has happened in this gated community in Florida? Fast forward then to Ferguson and the killing of Mike Brown. I was on Twitter that day, as I normally had been. And you know what? I had Twitter on my phone. I had my television on the news, going back and forth, waiting for corporate mainstream media to pick up the story of what was happening in Ferguson that was all over social media. So what these platforms originated as, oh, go Facebook, reach out to your friends from college and find, your family members and be able to connect from across the country or around the world. But what they really did, what they had turned into, was an organizing tool. And if you are a white supremacist, as Elon Musk is, you do not want Black people or people of color organizing. You do not want to give them a centralized place in order to build movements and share information. And so when Zuckerberg now says that this is about restoring free expression, I want to show you what he means by that, because this came from an article in CNN today calling women household objects now permitted on Facebook after Meta updated its guidelines. Because while we were so busy following the news about the fact checkers, what Meta also did today that isn't getting nearly as much coverage is that they updated their policy conduct, which now allows people to say whatever the fuck they want whenever they want. Let me read it to you. Meta on Tuesday announced sweeping changes to how it moderates content that will roll out in the coming months, including doing away with professional fact checking. But the company also quietly updated its hateful conduct policy, adding new types of content users can post on the platform, effective immediately. Oh, so what else will happen, dear friends? Oh, let me tell you. According to CNN, users are now allowed to, for example, refer to women as household objects or property, or transgender or non binary people as it. According to a section of the policy prohibiting such speech that was crossed out, a new section of the policy notes Meta will allow, quote, allegations of mental illness or abnormality when based on gender or sexual orientation, given political and religious discourse about transgenderism and homosexuality. So here's the deal. Mark Zuckerberg is doing the exact same thing that Elon Musk did when he bought Twitter. He is deciding that what is meant by free speech and free expression is the ability to discriminate, to bully, and to cause irreparable harm. That's what they consider to be free expression. And blocking the misogynists and the hateful trolls from being able to post that content to them is an affront to free speech. So I started thinking to myself, why is Mark Zuckerberg deciding now, after 9 years of this policy having rolled out in 2016, why is he now deciding that he's going to follow in the footsteps of Elon Musk, that he no longer actually cares about how people are treated on his platform or how they are viewed on his platform? Because it just didn't make sense to me. And I just kept thinking, why? And then I Googled. And I found out why, or better yet, I was reminded of the why. Here we go. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission antitrust case against Meta can move to trial. This was ruled on November 2024. So, but 2 months ago, after delay over the last 4 years, because this antitrust case was brought by the FTC back in 2020 at the end of Donald Trump's presidency. So the whole reasoning behind this case is that Mark Zuckerberg's acquisition of WhatsApp and Instagram has created an unfair monopoly. And they are saying that Facebook owner Meta, of holding an illegal monopoly over social media, can now proceed to trial. Well, guess when the trial is set for, folks? It's set for April 2025. So here's the thing. This isn't just about currying favor with Donald Trump. What Zuckerberg has been doing over the course of the last couple of months is CYA. Cover your ass. Because if he can get Donald Trump to bat his little eyelashes at him, then these cases will go away. And this is what this is all about. selling out the American people, selling out the public, right? Also, that he can continue along occupying a monopoly. If this is not some mother effing bullshit, I don't know, dear friends, what is. Because I will tell you that for the life of me, I'm thinking Zuckerberg wasn't that bad. I mean, he's bad. He's a part of the BROLIGARCHY. He's one of like the founders of the BROLIGARCHY. But at the end of the day, he was never as nefarious as a character as Elon Musk has always presented himself to be. So this, dear friends, is the reason why Zuckerberg is now moving like musket. He's moving like musket because he's facing down a court case, a trial that would have his major conglomerate of MAGA be broken up into pieces, which would then make him, I guess, just not as wealthy anymore. Even though he's sitting on, how much money is Mark Zuckerberg sitting on? 100 billion, 200 billion? But it's never enough. So here we have it. All of this makes sense now. Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans hate trans people. They hate women. They hate Black people. They hate people of color. So if you can create an environment that is now unsafe for them to be on, then it's a win-win. Because while everyone flees what has largely been considered the town hall, while people flee those platforms because you feel powerless in this moment, I absolutely fucking get it. It's like, where can you go? And every time that we find out something about one of these tech bros and they do something that harms communities, we all flee and are looking around for the next platform. So right now, everybody's scurried over to Blue Sky. First, it was Threads. Well, now Threads, owned by Meta, is going to be operating in the same way that X does. So if you continue migrating from platform to platform, what happens, folks? People drop off, right? And you no longer have the powerful numbers that you once did because everyone is now spread out all over these various places. So the potency that used to be the force of Black Twitter is now on Spill, on Threads, on Blue Sky, on Mastodon, on this place, on that place. And that's the point. To me, the ultimate goal here and how to curry favor with Donald Trump is to quiet dissent. And the easiest way to quiet dissent isn't just to shut these platforms down. It's to drive people from them. So you can say we still have this thing called democracy, this thing called free speech, except what they've been able to do is absolutely weaponize it and then pin us against one another. So, remember back in 2016 when Donald Trump said, you're going to get sick of winning? I cannot think of a person that has been winning more over the last couple of years than Donald Trump. When I showed you all yesterday the breakdown of who was feeding Donald Trump's slush fund versus who donated to Biden's inauguration fund. You saw the numbers. And the reason for that is because they knew I don't need to give money to Biden. It's not going to change things one way or the other because he actually follows the rule of law. But if I throw $1 million, if I throw in a policy conduct code, if I do, you know, if I show up in Mar-a-Lago and I kiss the ring and I tell Donald Trump, oh, you look so thin and so strong and so your hair is so thick. Can I get the number of your stylist? And oh, by the way, here's $1 million that will protect you for a little bit. It'll buy you a little bit of time. So what's the lesson here? Threats work. And those that have the money to throw at Donald Trump will gain a longer lifeline. But the rest of us who aren't going down to Mar-a-Lago to go kiss his feet, who don't have millions of dollars to throw into his slush fund, who are not able to whisper into his ear, well, we have to rely on our quote unquote so-called representatives to do the work, which leads me here. I don't know anybody who wants this job. Honestly, I don't even know why he fought for it. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. He's not good at it. And also, no one likes him. Right? And so when you think about it, you're like, huh, okay. What's in it for Mike Johnson, Fisher Price Speaker of the House, Part 2? I don't know, honestly. But here's was an interesting article, a podcast that came out today. The New Republic put out their daily blast. And in it, friend of the show and fellow Nerd Avenger, Norm Ornstein, was on there because Norm is a congressional scholar. And it was fantastic. And so in this, the title of the episode, Trump drops new hints on how he'll screw over Mike Johnson. And I say right now, go into your refrigerator, take out a head of lettuce, and let's just see who survives. Right? Like, start the clock on January 20th with the head of lettuce, and then let's just see. Right? So Norm offers some insight into how the House is going to function under Mike Johnson and the second Trump regime. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. This is what Norm says. It's not going to play out well. We know that. There are going to be a lot of bumps along the way. We know that. First, Donald Trump knows nothing about the legislative process and very little about the executive process. It's whoever whispers in his ear last has him issuing demands that practically speaking can't be met. But what he also knows is that with a razor thin margin in the House and with a Senate that often will have different ideas, the House and Senate Republicans are going to be at odds with each other. And Donald Trump will only make it worse. So here's the thing. He has, right now, Mike Johnson, a 2-seat majority. 2 seats. He can afford to lose one vote. He can afford to lose because Donald Trump has nominated 2 folks whose seats are going to be given up, and it'll be several months before there are special elections to fill those seats. So the fact is that Democrats under Hakeem Jeffries, if they actually put their shit together with a plan and work in lockstep, have the potential to have a lot of power, because there is nothing that Mike Johnson is going to be able to get past without Democrats. He can afford to lose one. Now, we already know the clown car that is the Freedom Caucus, right? With members of that like MTG and Lauren Boebert. Oh no, did she lose her race? I think she's gone. Maybe that was my high note. But you have people inside of there who are absolutely batshit crazy and who just don't want government to function. So the idea that you're going to have these folks be able to organize themselves in such a way to get policy passed, well, that is the joke. And then the biggest joke of them all, Doge. Doge. The toothless, made up agency, department, I guess. But what we are finding out, folks, is that Elon Musk is the biggest pain in the ass that Donald Trump has right now. He is a $270 million pain in the ass that Donald Trump is now attached to. That's how much money Elon Musk gave to Donald Trump to win the presidency. That's how much it cost to buy a president, $270 million. But we have already seen Elon Musk meddling, right, in wanting to shut down the federal government and saying, we don't need to pass anything until Trump becomes president. Because again, these MFers don't know what the federal government actually does. But it doesn't matter, because all they see is cut, 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 cut. Let's do away with all of these programs. Let's do away with all of these agencies. Why? So that they can hoard the money for themselves in the very lucrative government contracts that they already have. And then they can pay for the tax breaks, which are going to expire, to give to the rich. Folks, so this is what Norm says about what he refers to as the Musk factor. Then we have to throw in the Musk factor. While it's Musk and Ramaswamy, this is a runaway train being driven by Elon Musk. We're already seeing Musk say in various posts on his own Twitter, which I will continue to call it, saying that it doesn't exist, doesn't have any reason, that he will cut 300 of the government departments out entirely. He's asked why we can't have trillions of dollars in cuts from the federal government without having a clue as to what the federal government is or what it does, except that he knows that the subsidies SpaceX and Tesla get, which he will not want to touch in the slightest fashion. So we've got all kinds of people mucking around in an out of control sandbox, and Trump will only throw sand on all of his friends in that sandbox if he doesn't get what he wants, which he's not going to get. So here is the thing. The egg timer is going to be set on January 20th. You have all of these different factions of MAGA that have been created now. You have the BROLIGARCHY billionaire set that want to protect HB1 visas, and they only want certain immigrants, the ones that they think, to Vivek Ramaswamy's words, are, not mediocre, like regular Americans. His words, not mine. These are the people that want to be able to go to foreign countries to get the best talent, to bring them in to work for their companies. But why do they want that? Because then those HB1 visas are basically a fancy kind of indentured servitude, because you have to perform and work at a certain way so that you can keep the visa. And guess who gets to be paid probably less? The HB1 visa folks. And guess who's not going to put up a fuss when they don't have certain workforce incentives and quality? Those that are in the country only on a visa that Elon Musk and Vivek and the like have provided them with. Do you see how this sets up the United States of Broligarchy? Do you see how Elon Musk has looked around and sees the world as his giant monopoly board right now? And he's just moving the pieces, buying up governments in order to be able to hoard wealth, get the best workers, pay them the least, and own all of the levers of power that control them. When I tell you that we are about, I don't know, miles past Orwellian at this point, where Octavia Butler, the author behind me, this great sci-fi writer, could not have predicted this in one of her many novels. Like, we are in an absolute shit show. It is as if you have taken America, put it into a vice, and Elon Musk, Donald Trump take turns turning the vice tighter and tighter and tighter. If we don't know what truth is, because now we can't identify it, Steve Bannon told them to flood the zone, and so they've opened up the hose and the sewer. We don't know which way is up and which way is down. We lose all ability to have workplace protections and rights. We lose the social safety nets because they're going to cut those in order to pay for their tax cuts while we pay more taxes. Then you have the RFK Jr. roll in and make sure that not only, right, are we broke, but now we're sick too. You place Americans in a position of desperation, watch them fight each other, and you just sit back and make money off their backs and off their desperation. That is the Broligarchy. That is America under Trump. So what do I say? Welcome to the shit show. Here is your ticket. It is absolutely fucking wild. Wild. And just to think, friends, and now I'm going to get ready to transition into the town hall, but just to think, friends, Vice President Kamala Harris lost by the smallest margin in modern history. 1.4% is what she lost by. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, friends. So now, Lindsay has asked a very good question. What's this town hall? Well, let me tell you. The town hall is when you have the opportunity to put into the chat a question for me. I ask that you type question in all caps, followed by your question so that it can catch my eye and I can get to it. And then we are open up for 15 minutes or so, because I know that there are a lot of things that you all want to ask, and I will do my best to answer them. So are we ready? let's get into it, damnation. All right. Welcome, damnation, to Town Hall Tuesday, where you get to ask me any question that you would like, and I do my best to try and answer them. I am but one person, so I do ask that you write question in all caps so that it draws my eye to it. And I will do my best to get to as many as possible. So let's get into it with triple dose. Question. It seems unregulated social media has been a key tool for Russia/MAGA since about 2015 to implode US from within, to implode us from within. Do you think regulation of social media can limit the fascist cyber attacks? Well, yes, I do. And I think that here's the problem that we have now. One is that regulation comes through government, and we now are less than 2 weeks away from Donald Trump becoming president of the United States again. And so he has no desire whatsoever to regulate anything. Because in their mindset, they believe that free speech means the freedom to oppress, subjugate, demean, bully, harass, and abuse. That's what their idea of freedom of speech means. I think that Congress had an opportunity, and the Biden administration, frankly, had an opportunity to create laws and policy to regulate social media well after 2016, right? Like, this is when we saw and received reports that Russia was interfering in our elections, that they were utilizing Facebook in order to do it. And guess what? Nothing happened. Facebook said, oh, we'll put together these policies, right? That they were not enforceable by law. They just took it upon themselves. And so now, almost a decade later, they're saying, we're good because Trump is back in power and we don't want to get in his way. So, while I do believe, yes, of course, regulation has been necessary for these social media companies, we are not going to see that anytime soon. Okay. Sycophant. Question. Is healthcare a winning issue to tackle this greed? Interesting question. I want to say, I don't know. I will say that you will not find a greedier industry other than the healthcare industry. The healthcare industry, aside from secondary education, is probably one of the biggest Ponzi schemes we have ever seen. You pay for health insurance, or in my case, I pay out of pocket for health insurance, right? On the possibility that I will become ill. If I become ill, then the insurance company gets to decide that, guess what? I'm not going to cover this. Or your annual checkup or any preventative measures. Oh, I'm not going to cover this. And so, is healthcare a way to tackle greed? I mean, trying to keep yourself healthy so that you don't fall prey to having to use a GoFundMe in order to pay for your healthcare. Yeah, I don't know how that would tackle the greed. And again, I believe that we will hear more if Luigi Mangione, the alleged killer of the United Healthcare CEO, if that trial is publicized, I absolutely believe that we will hear more about the nefarious nature of the healthcare industry. So there is that. This is a fun question. Margaret, question. Have you watched Abbott Elementary? It is so funny. Yes, I have. And funny enough, anyone that knows me will tell you that Danielle does not like comedy. Like, I don't like stand-up comedy. I don't like slapstick comedy, but Abbott Elementary is the kind of comedy that I like. It is dry. It is like, like The Office, like that kind of dry, smart humor. I love it. I think it is a great show. Oh, I feel like somebody's asked me this before. What is your guilty pleasure snack of choice? It is popcorn. White cheddar popcorn, to be specific. So if I am home, microwave popcorn, a little bit of extra olive oil, and then Parmesan Reggiano on top. Shake that all around. It is delicious, and I am not afraid to tell you that I have eaten that for dinner on a number of occasions. So there is that. Question. I love that none of these are political. Question. I love your lip color. Any idea of the brand? Oh, today I'm wearing Charlotte Tisbury, and it's called Red Carpet. I don't know if it looks red on your screens, but it is like a velvety kind of red. So there's that. Question. Your recommendations for self-protection regarding the internet going forward. So this is a really good question. Honestly, you have people that are leaving platforms altogether. I can't do that, right? I utilize YouTube, Blue Sky, Threads, all of Instagram, all of these things to get my news and also to connect with my audiences. What I will tell people is to go to places that are connected to your values, try and figure out in their very long, convoluted policy agreements whether or not they're sharing your data. And basically, like, we're just prey here. Like, that's what's really scary. This is like Black Mirror. That's all we're living inside of on a day-to-day basis. Who was just hacked the other day? T-Mobile, AT&T, all of our text messages, all of our information is like just swimming out there in the public. Every time that we put something in to any site, right? Like, that's our information, that's our data. Like, it's a lie that they were ever able to call these social media platforms, because they weren't. They are data collection services, right? That then turn around and sell your information so that companies know how to better sell to you. And that's what they really are. And they've done it so under the guise of it being social media and about connection, but it is a sales tool, right? So how do you regulate sales tools going forward? Turn off your microphones on your communications devices. I do that. And somehow, if I'm talking about a particular type of soap, guess what turns up in my fucking Instagram feed? So, you do the best that you can. But it is, it's incredibly, incredibly hard. Question. Given Musk purchased Twitter for $44 billion, given Musk purchased Twitter for $44 billion, why are folks saying that Musk only spent $250 million to purchase America? You're right. He got Trump at a bargain. I ain't even going to lie. That is 100% the truth. He got Trump at a bargain. I guess that is one way to look at it. How do you think it will? How long do you think it will take for President Musk to fire JD? The funny thing is, so here's the funny thing. So I'm on Mary Trump Media earlier today on Nerd Adventures, and Mary says, like, anybody remember JD Vance? Like, honestly, in the chat, tell me, when was the last time you saw JD Vance in anybody's interview, or anybody talking about JD Vance, or him making news in any type of way? Literally, since the election, I mean, sure, I guess he's been walking around Capitol Hill. He was walking around Capitol Hill trying to get people to vote for Matt Gaetz. That failed. And then he's been going around town with Hegseth, to get people to vote for him. So I really don't know. He said, I don't feel like there is enough room for another billionaire, Teal, pulling the strings at the top. Just my thoughts. And I think that that is right. We have to understand, too, these are men with massive fucking egos, guys, like massive egos. They don't share, right? They don't want to share the spotlight. They don't want to share wealth. So the situation that they have created in order to get Donald Trump across the finish line, JD Vance into the Senate, now that they're all going to have to sit together and play together, I think that we are going to see different factions combust. I mean, we already saw it playing out, right? With the HB visa folks. There is very different white identities that are going to be at battle regarding this. But JD Vance, he's inept at this point. He's like, I guess, what is he as useful as? I don't know. He's not useful. He's not useful at all. Like, he's as useful as a hangnail at this point. So I don't know if we'll see JD Vance. Question: did you see Kamala's interaction with new Senator Gallego's son? Yes, I did. When he said, I'm so sorry that you lost. That little boy looked so heartbroken. He's just like emblematic of all of us who for 107 days were joyful and felt possible and hopeful. And just to look at that little boy and for her to say, we lost, but we're not losers, and that we, will continue the fight. It's heartbreaking because while some of us are midlife towards end of life, that little boy doesn't even have the ability to vote yet. And he knows that something ain't right with this incoming administration, that Donald Trump just, if you know nothing, what do little kids know? Whether you're nice and you're good or you're not. And he sees him. And I think it was Whoopi Goldberg on The View where she said after Donald Trump won, she said, I don't want to ever hear from another parent tell me or anyone about not being a good quote unquote model for their kids, because this is who you have put into your kids' lives as the ultimate model, the president of the United States, an absolute bully, a misogynist, and a racist who says all kinds of hot shit. So don't tell me that you actually care about your kids and what they see and what they know and what they're taught. We are going to have generations that are impacted and believe that this is how you act in order to get power. This is who you have to be. So why bother teaching kids to be nice, to be kind? Because MAGA, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, they're the antithesis of that. That to them is weakness. So it is about like the subtle messages that young people are going to be getting. I mean, this is not subtle. Donald Trump is as subtle as like a hammer over the head. So you have to think about the ways, the messages that young people are getting. And I think that that is why he just sounded so heartbroken. I mean, I just wanted to hug him myself when I saw that. Question: do you think Dems will ever figure out how to combat this MAGA movement? I'm tired of losing seemingly every battle. You and me both. It is a question that I ask on a regular basis. And then when I do, I'm told that I am not helping the situation because I question Democrats and I need to just, rah, rah, rah and be the cheerleader. And the fact is that we know that they continue to make missteps. I mean, folks, look at yesterday. Yesterday is the 4-year anniversary of an insurrection that Donald Trump incited to overthrow a free and fair election. Yesterday, all cameras were on Capitol Hill. Did you hear one fucking Democrat talk about how and why we have a peaceful transfer of power today? And that if Kamala Harris had won, that they could not imagine that it would have gone as smoothly? Talking about the fact that even though Donald Trump is going to be president, he is still a threat to our democracy, and we are going to be doing everything to hold him and Republicans accountable. You did not see or hear that at all. I spoke yesterday about Joe Biden's bullshit op-ed. And I know that Vice President put out video. But the fact is that they are leaving office. But I'm looking at the members of Congress that are there that are not showing to the rest of us that they're in it to fight. Because Waj said it today on Nerd Avengers on Mary Trump's channel. He said, you know, even when your team is losing, you want them to fight like hell so that at the end, you can still point to them and say, that's my team. They gave it everything that they had. I cannot say that about Democrats. And that's what pisses me off. Question: do you get the feeling that Trump has had informal talks with his fellow dictators and already sliced stuff? Yes, yes, yes. I absolutely do. I have felt that Donald Trump never stopped talking to other dictators. I think that he is not only talking to them, I think that he is getting talking points and strategy from them. We are going to see a realigning, and saw it in the first Trump administration, but now, definitely now, a realigning of the axis of evil, except America is going to be at the center of it, right? Remember the axis of evil? And it is wild to believe that now who used to be our allies are needing to concoct plans that do not include the United States. This election was not just about us. It was about the creation of a new world order. And we are watching it just 7 days and less than 2 weeks away from Donald Trump taking office, seeing already how it's going to play out. Nobody's coming to save us. There is no industry, there is no company. And so at some point, we are going to have to figure out how to save ourselves. What is it that we are going to have to do? How are we going to organize? Because these people are showing us, from Amazon to McDonald's to Meta, that they are, to Disney and ABC and the rest, they are in it for themselves. And they will sell out the American public for a tax break. A break that they don't want to provide to the rest of us. It's disgusting. Good question, Deborah. Isn't there a way Jack Smith can release the report? I mean, laws don't really matter. Well, you know, evidently laws don't matter if you are Donald Trump, but the rest of us have to abide by laws. When I saw the news that came out today that Judge Aileen Cannon has decided to block the release of Jack Smith's report, and they're going to go to appeal, and it's going to lose, and we're never going to see that report. We're never going to see the light of day. My number one thought was, leak it. What do you got to lose? Right? If I'm sitting in the DOJ, if I have worked on Jack Smith's team, I'm fucking sending it. I'm dropping it off at the New York Times, at any of these out. But you know what? Corporate mainstream media, who do we actually think will stick their neck out to publish it, even if it did get leaked? So you would just have to leak it on the internet and hope that then other outlets would pick it up. But that's what I said. Leak it. Do you think that Biden will do anything about the ERA before? Nope, I do not. I'm sorry, Mama Corolla. I think that he is just going to let it die. I don't think that we are going to see any Hail Marys coming out in the next less than 2 weeks. Um mm. Question, how do we become more like Finland where they teach how to identify misinformation? I mean, that is going to depend school by school, district by district, teacher by teacher, and classroom by classroom. That is not something that is going to come down from on high. And who the hell knows? I mean, at this point, we may not have a Department of Education by the end of this school year, right? So it is going to be up to parents and caregivers teaching their children how to recognize misinformation and disinformation. And frankly, the adults don't know how to do it. So I am ye of little faith when it comes to this teaching, except for those to follow what Finland is doing. But is it going to be taught en masse in the way that it is in that country? Absolutely not. Gonna take one more question. Let's see. I feel like this is a good one to end on. Question, I know this may be too abstract, Danielle, but what are we on the precipice of? It feels like more than just some right-wing conservatives taking over. Something else is happening. And Ernie, I will tell you that something else is happening. We are on the precipice of autocracy. You know, I have said this several times and I'll say it again here. In school, right? You're learning about the fall of the Ottoman Empire. You're learning about the fall of the Roman Empire. You're learning about, all of these great empires that crumbled, right? Uh Countries that were once named X and now are named Y, and revolutions that took place. It never occurred to me until the last several years that while those empires were dying and crumbling, that people had to exist amongst the rubble, that they had to find a way to live in the midst of destruction. So what are we on the precipice of? We are not in a backsliding democracy anymore, which was said back in 2021. Our democracy is done. And so what we are on the precipice of is something that we have not experienced in this country, but has been experienced around the world, which is the rise of an autocrat. And the oligarch, the broligarch, where their wealth and power isn't enough. It is like, from the Never-Ending Story, my favorite 80s movie, The Big Nothing. They're just going to keep eating, 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 eating until there's nothing left and they eat themselves. But it is scary. Yet, I will say this. With each and every one of those stories, inside of them is revolution and redemption. I say this all the time. We may not see the next multiracial democracy in America in our lifetime. But the work that we do and the seeds that we plant will bear fruit for generations to come. So while the news is going to make us feel hopeless, because that is its point, every day, several headlines that just keep your head on a swivel. So you have to take control of what you're consuming, take control of your own energy field, and make sure that you're not moving towards burnout, because everybody has a role. Everyone has a role. We are headed to an incredibly dark period that we don't know how long it will last. But at this point, 4 years will be the least of it. I am under the impression it is going to be much longer. So, what it comes down to is, what will we do? What do you see your role in doing in order to plant the seeds so that at some point the garden of justice will grow? That is it for me today, dear friends, on the Danielle Moodie Show. I appreciate you all so very much. These questions were good. They were so good, and I'm sorry that I cannot get to them all, but I love Town Hall Tuesday because it gives me the opportunity to understand what you all are thinking, what you are concerned about, whether it be my lipstick color or snack or how we survive an autocracy. We can do it all here on the Danielle Moodie Show. So I appreciate each and every one of you, particularly, just showing up, folks. And do remember, as we say, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have not subscribed to this channel and you are enjoying these shows, Democracy-ish, the Danielle Moodie Show, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It helps feed the algorithm and it gets this channel in front of more people. And I am trying to grow community here with all of you, so that we have a safe space where truth is actually celebrated. So please do like, comment, and subscribe. And when these videos are posted, share them, post them on whatever platforms you are still on, and tell people to check them out. I thank you so much for all of you who have provided donations. Like I say every day, this is independent media. We're building it from the ground up. Every dollar that you can spare goes a long way in helping me being able to develop more content and do this work. I appreciate each and every single one of you. We will be back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. So do make sure to tune in. As always, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, please stay safe. See you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern.